Hello and welcome back. We are back into statistics in this lesson. We're revisiting circle graphs. So in Unit 1, we did a whole bunch of work with circles, getting us comfortable with all the terminology, and we're going to use a bit of that terminology again today. So what do I want you to be able to do? I can create a circle graph when given a set of data. All right, so that's our goal today. We're going to be creating circle graphs. So you're going to get out, I'm going to lend out the compasses, I'm going to be using protractors, so we're going to be using a bit of everything. So from the last unit, remember the circle has 360 degrees in it. Okay, so there's 360 degrees in a circle. We are going to create a circle graph, but we need to create sectors. So in order to find some of the information for this unit, to find the central angle of a sector, so we're looking for theta, we are going to take our percentage as a decimal, so percent, and underneath I'm going to put as a decimal. And multiply it by 360 degrees. All right, so we're going to be looking, in the percent, we may have to create the percent from a fraction. We may be given the percentage, so we need to be comfortable going with whatever information is given. So there is your formula for determining the central angle for a sector. Now, to find the percentage represented, all right, we are going to take, if we're looking for the percentage, and again, this is going to give you a decimal, so as a decimal, so we'll have to convert it after. We will take the angle given, so theta, and we're going to divide by 360. All right. So there we go. That is how we calculate the central angle of the sector and the percent represented. I'm going to give you some examples to see how these formulas are actually used, because seeing the formula versus actually doing are two different things, I realize. So here we go. Use the chart below to construct a circle graph to represent the data. So we're going to construct a circle graph here. So what am I going to do? Well, the first thing I need to know angles. I need to know degrees here. So in order to go through and create a circle graph, we need to get our angles. So what we're going to end up doing is we extend this chart. We extend this chart, and then in the next column, we are going to put a column called degrees. So we know 42% of people like Coke. So I'm going to take the 42, and I'm going to convert it to a decimal, 0.42, and I'm going to multiply it by 360. I'm going to then take the 36%, the 0.36, multiply by 360, 0.10 times 360, and each of these calculations are going to tell me how many degrees of the circle each of these pieces of data should receive. So I'm going to pause it in a second here to do the calculations, so you don't have to watch me use a calculator, and then we're going to come back and talk about how we're going to construct this. So, back in a second. Okay, welcome back. So I've got the angles all calculated there, and you'll notice I didn't put any decimals in, and there's a reason I didn't put any decimals in. And the reason is we can't read decimals on our protractor, and I'll see if I have protractor handy. No, I'm going to have to bring one in. I'll be back in another second. All right, so I got my protractor here. If you look at it, you really can't read decimals on this protractor. Okay? In any of the protractors, you can do 151 degrees, but I can't do 151.2 or anything like that. So I just went through and I rounded to the nearest ones column for my degrees. All right, so now that I have that done, I need to construct a circle. So that's what the protractor will be for, and if you haven't used one in a while, I will definitely help you out with that. Oops, I'm going to make the circle big enough. So I'm going down here with it. And I got to approximate the center here. Since I don't have a pinhole to show me where it is. Now it doesn't look too bad. So what you do is you construct a line from the radius, or you construct a radius line. There we go. So I need Coke to have 151 degrees. So I bring my protractor over, put it on my line, and I'm going to notch out 151 degrees. So starting at 0, 150, so 151's over here. So I'm going to use red for Coke. So that's where Coke will go from. And what you can do then, you can take the protractor off for a second, or you can leave it on, doesn't really matter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my 0 marker to that point right there. So I'm just going to rotate my protractor. Oops, if I can get it. Oops, redo the red. Okay, grab my protractor. I'm just going to rotate it so that the 0 line is now on that radius. Okay, so now here's my 0 and here's the mark I just did, because I'm going to measure from that point on. So then Pepsi goes for 130 degrees, and I'll use blue for Pepsi. So 0 to 130 degrees. So 110, 120, 130. So here's Pepsi. So Pepsi goes from there to there. Same thing again. I'm going to rotate the protractor so that the 0 line lines up with that blue mark. And the next one I'm going to go to is, what am I on? 36 degrees. And that's for Pepsi. So Pepsi is going to be, or sorry, Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper's 36 degrees. 36 degrees is going to be about there on the circle. Rotating the protractor again. Whoa, don't do that though. From that point, I got to go 29 degrees, which is pretty much 30. So Orange Crush, ironically enough, is going to be black. So there's 30 degrees. And then the remaining is about 15 degrees, and that will be my other. Okay? So now I'm going to get rid of my protractor. I put it over here. And I now know where to draw. I bring my ruler, and for me it's a line maker. I now can go from the radius to these points to create my circle graph. There we go. So each area on this graph represents the percentage people answered. So we have Coke, I have Pepsi, I have Dr. P, I have the Orange Crush, OC, and I have other. And then to make it look pretty, you can color it in. But what it does is it provides you with a visual representation of how people answered so that people can get a feel right away which are the popular drinks and which are the next popular and so on and so forth. All right, so it's just a different graph, and I'm showing the process to come up with the graph. So there we go. That provides us with the circle graph, accurate circle graph. So you're going to be doing that. You're going to be completing this chart above in the homework. So there's a couple questions that say just complete this chart right here. So you're just going to be using the formulas I talked about. Then you're going to have to complete circle graph. And then your final type of question that you're going to be dealing with, in the last part of the homework, is it wants you to create a table that shows the percentage of each component for the super snack mix. So now I have a graph here, but I don't have enough information to work from. I don't have any angles in there, and I don't have any percentages. So I'm going to set the chart up. So I'm going to start with raisins. Raisins, pineapple chunks, papaya chunks, call them Papi Chew, cranberries, and banana chips. All right, and what I'll do with that, I'm going to create a chart with the component. So that's my heading for the first one. Component and the angle. The angle is my second column here. So I'm going to take the protractor that you see there, and I'm going to measure the angle of each sector in the pie graph. All right, I'm just going to shrink this down. So I'm going to take this protractor, I'm going to line it up, try to get that in the middle, just like that. So now I just got to rotate it around. So starting on the red, Oops, I moved it. So there's the red. So when I go to read the protractor, and it's going to be a little tricky for you to look off of here, 10, 20, 30, 45 degrees. That's what it looks like. I then rotate it to measure the angle on the next piece of pie, so the purple one, and I can see 90. So looking at my angles, 90, it's a little under 100. I'm going to go 98 on that. You'll be able to read it a little bit more accurate with yours. Look at the green piece. Green piece looks like it's exactly 90. The yellow piece then, so I'm measuring the angle on the yellow piece, looks like 78-ish, 76, somewhere in there. Like I said, it's going to be easier for you guys to do that. And last, I got to do the blue one. And blue looks like 30. All right. So there we go. We have the angles. Now back to your formulas. How do you find percentage? How do you find percent? So percent, I'll go back 2 slides for you. This is what we just did. I did this in the second example. How do you find the angle? Now, what I want to do is I want to find the percent from a graph. So I need to use this formula right here. Take the angle, and I need to divide by 360. So, coming back. So for each of these, theta, oops, I know what theta is. I don't have to put theta in there. I'm going to do 45 degrees divided by 360. So 45 divided by 360. Remember, my answer is going to come out as a decimal. So 45 divided by 360 is 0.125. Converting that to a percentage, I get 12.5%. 12.5%. So now I'm just going to go through and I'm going to finish up all my divisions here. So I'm going to do that so you don't have to watch me use the calculator. And then I'll bring you back and we'll finish this up. All right, so you can see I finished up calculating the percentages. So my percentages are down this column here. All right, so I can leave it. This just wanted me to create a chart. You always put them back into the diagram. So raisins, for example, is 12.5%. Pineapple chunks is 27.2%. 25% are papaya chunks. 21.7% is the cranberries, and the banana chips is 8.3%. All right, so we have a breakdown. If you want to check to see how accurate you were, you can add up your percentages to see how close to 100 you are. So out of interest's sake here, see how close I was reading off of the smartboard here. So I get 94.7, so not exactly the best. That should be a little bit closer to 100 than that, but you'll be a lot more accurate with a protractor. You can actually see. So anyhow, okay. Excuse me, we'll meet one-on-one. If you have any questions, please let me know, and we'll talk about how to make sure everyone knows how to create a circle graph from information.